Mrs. Bricksie here today, so we were talking about the layout a little bit. It's still under the works, all right? I flipped these modular buildings the other way. We could run like green base plates all the way along here, and this could be like a winding trail, park, whatever it may be. We could also flip some modular buildings this way. There's just so much space on this island. We could do so many interesting things. Still thinking about that angled road scenario and all that. But you know what? I wanted to do something a little bit different today. And that is coming up with an idea for the causeway or bridge, which is going to connect to the island so that vehicles and pedestrians and bicycles can actually make their way from the Lego City downtown core to the island. So we've got a pretty cool plan for that. And I want to try and tidy up this area here because this is not looking too fresh. Our train track isn't connected either. And that makes me sad. So I want to just try and fix all this up, make it look a little more pretty, and come up with something for this causeway. So a viewer of the channel actually reached out to me with a design for a bridge for the causeway with like instructions and everything. How cool is that? And the construction of this actually uses the standard road plates that we use in our city at this particular point because we don't want to brick build everything. I understand that road plates aren't the prettiest things in the world, but brick building the road system for our 1,000 base plate city would be overwhelming. So at this point, we're using the road plates and we want to try and keep it consistent. At least we've modified them in a way so that they look pretty cool. And this design right here, it features the same designs as our Lego City. It has the bicycle lane, which is brick built onto the side there, along with the road extender. And then it also has a road extender on this side here. It has 6 studs of sidewalk and then like a 2-stud meridian on the side of the bicycle lane, along with a guardrail, which is built up using some connector elements. And then we have supports on the bottom, which form an arch because they're built using the arches and like the curved slopes. And doesn't that look cool? It's like an elevated version of our road plates. And this is the same size as a base plate. So this is 32 by 32 studs, which is pretty wide. It's all reinforced using plate rather than a base plate. So then you have the pieces that you can actually adapt studs onto the bottom, and there's the supports built using arches and the curved slopes. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. It is a nice looking bridge, which is built the same way that we build our road plates, but it's elevated. So it's pretty neat. Thank you so much, Whatnot, for sponsoring this video. I wanted to take the time to let you know about my next Whatnot stream, which is going down this Saturday. That's June 14th, starting at 12 o'clock Mountain Time. During that stream, I'm going to be auctioning off hundreds of minifigures starting at only $1. My Buy It Now store is going to be loaded, and it also involves horses. These horses are a gift with purchase. If you join Whatnot using my link and make your first purchase, you get 2 horses for free. Also, if you joined using my link in the past and you have yet to make a purchase on the platform, you also will get 2 horses for free with your first purchase. Additionally, if you're a returning customer, I'm including 2 horses for free with all orders valued over 180 Canadian dollars during this Saturday's show. Now, when you click my link, don't be shocked when you see this. $0. What kind of promotion is that? Well, the cash credit is being replaced by GWPs, and this month we're giving away horses. How cool is that? You get 2 epic Lego horses. Should be a lot of fun. I hope to see you there. Once again, this coming Saturday involves minifigures and horses. These horses are so cool. I love them. They're legendary. Some of the best Lego animals in my opinion. All right, let's get back to the Lego. Now, the only issue I have with this design is I think it's going to be a little bit too wide. It's 32 studs wide, actually just over, because we have those guardrails coming off the side, which actually hinge, and you can see how they were built into the arch there. So it's actually more like 33.5 studs wide after you consider the fact that there's a plate and tile extended off either side. So it's pretty wide because this right here is only 64 studs. So if I were to plop this down, it's looking pretty big. So there's a couple different ways that we can reduce the width of it. First off, we can get rid of the bike lane. Where I'm from, there's not bike lanes on every road, so we could get rid of the bike lane. I do want bike access for the island, but I think we can get rid of it we can just say that bikes can ride on the road on the bridge. Also, I think the sidewalk, it's really nice, but I don't know if we need it to be 6 studs. I think that's pretty wide. That's typically how wide the sidewalks are in our Lego city, but I think this just needs to be reduced. So we can reduce that to 4 studs. You can still fit 1 minifigure walking on the sidewalk safely there, and they still have the guardrail. And then on this side here, we can probably get away with reducing this by 1 stud. I don't know if the Meridian needs to be 2 studs. I think it should have 1, just to be like a line break from the dark bluish gray to the light bluish gray, and then it still needs to have the guardrail. So just like that, we would be able to reduce the road from 32 studs plus the guardrails, so 33.5 or whatever it is, down to, I think, 25, because it would be 16 plus the road extenders on either side, which is 20. Then we have 24, because there's 4 studs of sidewalk, and then 1 piece over here, which is like 1 tile or 1 stud, so that is 25 studs plus the guardrails. So reducing it from 32 plus the guardrails to 25 plus the guardrails, which I think is pretty substantial. I don't know if I want an entire base plate wide road for the bridge. It looks really cool. It's a great design, but I just don't think that we should go the full width in this particular case. So let's whip up a prototype of the 25 stud version. It would be 1 stud there, then you got the road extender, 16 studs of road, another road extender, and then 4 studs of sidewalk, and we would still put the guardrail on the side. But you can see how much smaller it is, like we're reducing it by a pretty substantial amount there. And I think this would probably work better. Yes, we are losing the bike lane, which is unfortunate, but I think you got to compromise here, and I don't think I want to make a full base plate wide bridge for this area. I just think it's going to take away from the look of the bridge. But I do like this design, and I think I want to run with it. I don't think it needs to be like a big suspension bridge. I don't think you would put a suspension bridge in an area like this that's like going up a little bit. So we've got 2 base plates of ramp going up, and then it just makes its way across. I don't think it needs to be a suspension bridge. I think running with something like this is ideal, but I do think that we need to reduce the size of it. So the first area I want to work on here in the Lego City is this section right here. There's this train track, which is just floating there, so I need to millsplate the side of that with the green, embed that train track. Also, the bicycle lane just comes to an end right there because we did some road plate swapping and actually shifted this all over. That's why there's all these weird gaps and stuff everywhere. So I need to fix up this corner. Need to make that a bicycle lane corner. I also need to extend this with a bicycle lane and just sort of fix this up. This boardwalk here, which used to be like angled and head toward the beach, just sort of comes to an end. So we need to figure out what we're going to do there and try and fix that. So yeah, I just want to try and fix this area up to start. That was actually a bigger job than I expected it to be. So of course, you got the road all fixed up there with the curve. That looks good. Bicycle lane actually makes sense now. And there's a railroad crossing right here. So this was filled in with 4 stud road extender. The lines all match up. Then the same thing on this side. Filled in this with grass rather than sidewalk. On the other side, we did 4 studs of sidewalk. There's going to be 4 studs of sidewalk that link up to the bridge right here. And I actually decided to make this a road plate rather than having the ramp start right after the train track. I just thought that made more sense because I was able to connect this boardwalk or concrete walkway, whatever you want to call it, that goes along the seaside there to that. And if this was pitched, it'd be a little bit more difficult to do that. So I created a little ramp going down so it's wheelchair friendly, which is good. Modified and fixed up all this here. And then I was like, okay, well, I've gotten that far. I may as well create the ramp. So I created this 48 stud road plate, which is all reinforced on the bottom like so. And of course it has the sidewalk and everything on the top there. So you got 4 studs of sidewalk and also the 1 stud of like Meridian on that side there. I've done this or something very similar to this in the past over here. So I created the ramp effect in the residential area. So that's how I was able to extend these roads and put the sidewalks on the side along with the road extender. But this one was done with tiles, so it's a little bit different. So there's not that line break. But the ones up here, there's one on either side, was done the exact same way. So this is like a sloped road, and we're able to use that same technique for the bridge connection as well. But yeah, that took quite a bit of time just getting that all figured out. And we created a big mess upstairs, that's for sure. Because to build these, we've just been like scavenging parts from everywhere. So there's my mess. And here's Mrs. Bricksie's mess. So we decided we should try and build the bridge or the causeway. And that's what we're working on now. You can see a disaster, but within that disaster is a partially assembled causeway. You know, I found a box full of pieces, and the box was from the old elevated train track. You remember that? With all the arches? Used a very similar part selection as the custom bridge design there. So we can scavenge from that box, which is good. And we are making some modifications to the design so that it uses less pieces. And we'll showcase that once we're done building it. The next area I want to work on is right here by the vintage diner and just across the way from the zoo. So this entrance actually used to be 2 base plates back. And there are these long strips of road extender that I extracted. You can see there's a spot for them right there. So we ripped all that out, and that's why there was like that big gap over there, because this all shifted over 2 base plates. You can see the 2 base plates right there. So that sort of caused the ripple effect, and now I need to create a new pull-in for here and also modify this and extend the road here, put another train track crossing, and also a turn right there. So I've just got to like fix up this area. There we go. That's a little bit better. Makes me smile, that's for sure. Just needed to get that train track reconnected there, get that road going over that train track, and also get the connection point for the parking lot. So now we've got some parking by the beach. You can actually access it, and just fix up these road extenders here. These are just long road extenders. You can see this one moves a little bit. It goes all the way over there toward the entrance to the harbor. So yeah, that area looks a lot better now. Hopping back over here next, we've got some regular old base plates here and some exposed table and also some mills work that was destroyed. So I want to try and fix up this area. So these mills plates are just created in tan for now. I think that'll be a nice extension of the beach, but I'm sure this grass is going to like leak over onto it when we get around to adding details to that. Fixed up that corner, filled in that random chunk there. Looks like we've got some different colors of grass, which is realistic, right? There's different colors of grass. And then we've got this here. I just built it up to the same height. So I think this boardwalk style thing might actually wrap around, probably like 8 studs, and we'll just bring it all the way across and connect it by that hot dog cart there. So we'll just move these sandcastle building tournaments and all these details out onto the beach, since we have so much beach space now. And I think this consistent boardwalk can wrap right around, which I think will look pretty cool. Framed this here using some masonry bricks just all the way along. And then I just threw down some plate for now in dark bluish gray, rounding out this corner. I'm thinking this can be like a nice rocky cove in here, similar to what we've done over here, once we add a bunch of detail to it. So I think it'll look pretty sweet if there's something similar to that. Just sort of change it up from this sandy beach, transitioning into the rocky cove. So to do that, I had to remove a bunch of the water detail that we started laying. And I'm glad we didn't continue, because I knew there was going to be some other changes in this area. Just trying to get like everything installed, like the bridge and whatever we're doing over here with the rocky coastline, before we start adding all the water detail, because doing that and undoing that takes a long time. But I think this area is starting to become not polished, but you know, it's starting to look better. That's the goal. And I think I need to do the same thing over here, because there's a bunch of exposed table, exposed platform, and also just like random base plates and stuff. So for now, this is sort of the little mini builds and things that you can expect to see on the island. A lot of this like nice space that we have open can be filled full of like markets and mini builds and mini modulars, sort of island style stuff. I know this isn't a tropical island. It's not a Hawaiian island with big volcanoes and all that, but eventually we are going to be adding more vegetation because we have the entire perimeter. So when I go through here and we detail the water, similar to how we did it over there, right? Looking pretty fresh. It's going to add a nice pop of color. And then when we build up some of these rock panels and we put the slopes on and the vegetation, it'll start to transform those as well. And then we can still tinker with this coastline, like I've mentioned in previous videos, multiple actually. We can notch more of this out and we can have this coastline swerve even harder than it currently does. But the more notches that I put into it, the more space that's going to take away from physical land and the more space it's going to dedicate to water. So it just depends on how I want to navigate that, that mix, right, of land and water, because there is a lot of water on the island. But I think it was pretty easy just to move these over here, consolidate some of the green, so we can start to put a few more things here. Granted, that does leave a big gray spot over here. I don't have the parts to fill this with green, but it is what it is. I think eventually this is going to get filled with more modular buildings because we are going to migrate some to the island because it serves as a downtown expansion rather than a brand new project like a volcano, because we need more space for our downtown, which is bursting at the seams. So for now, the island is serving as a downtown expansion. So maybe it's not an island, maybe it's just a downtown expansion, but it is surrounded by water. So technically it is sort of an island. But we can expect to see some modular buildings being shifted around to fill this space and also to start to fill some of the island as well in the near future. I could, sure, turn it into a volcano island or something like that, but I think that's going to be a huge project. I think shifting some modular buildings around at this particular point to fill the island will be a little bit easier and less time consuming, so I can focus my energy on other things within the city. But it was definitely required because we needed more space for the downtown core. So I'm pretty happy that it's here. And look at all the space that we have in the downtown. All right, I think it's about time that we take a look at the bridge, which is going to connect to the island. Vehicles can cross the train track there, then there's 32 studs of straight road at level ground, and then it starts ramping upward for 48 studs. You can see the ramp has been decorated, decided not to go with the masonry wall there, but we actually kept the handrail consistent, and we added some decoration on the bottom, which is consistent with the bridge as well. And here we have the bridge with the arches. It has been simplified. We removed the 1x4 arches, which were below these tiles, and sort of integrated with the connection element there, but we just figured it got covered up anyway, so we don't really need to do that. Also, there's a central support that was built the same way. We removed that to conserve pieces, and this used to be 2 studs wide. We reduced it to 1 stud wide just because it doesn't really need to be fully supported by 2 studs, and it saved literally double the amount of pieces. Well, more than that actually. Like, it just saved us so many pieces, so that's the way we decided to do it. Also, we added some dark blue to the bottom of it and dark gray, so it's like the foundation of the bridge or the supports are a little bit wet, and we need to go through and do all our water details, so we're not going to tack it down at this particular point. But you can see we've got 4 studs of sidewalk there, and I can just flip this up on its side so you can see how it's supported. So it is still supported in the center, but rather than doing the same supports, we just used some 2x2 brick. So we significantly reduced the amount of pieces and therefore cost of producing this bridge. And we also reduced it to 25 studs. Now you're going to see these 1x1 studs facing inward. That's because those are actually Technic bricks, which are holding the road extender and road in place. So you can see them on this side here, and it's holding this road extender in place, and it's built right into the 1 stud meridian. So we decided to keep it consistent on this side as well. And as you can see, it's at the right height. So when it comes up to another road plate, which is on the elevated platform, it is seamless there. And small boats, not large boats, but small boats could pass through underneath the bridge. And once again, I think 4 studs of sidewalk is just perfect. We don't need any more than that on the bridge, and we don't need the bicycle lane. Bikes can just ride on the road in this case. And I also think the 48 stud incline here worked out perfectly. I think it's like the perfect grade. It's not too steep. It's not elongated to the length where it would eliminate, the length of the bridge or decrease the length of the bridge. And you can see how that's all reinforced. We switched up the black plate on the bottom with light gray. And then we also added the supports, so it just leans on those. And then there are the connection elements coming off the side that support that handrail. And it literally just wedges between the road, which is tacked down to the base plate, and also the elevated bridge. So there we go, the causeway is constructed and a bunch of things are now fixed up. So I think the Lego City is looking pretty sweet. Really excited about continuing to work on our island or downtown expansion, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that causeway really just pulled it all together and it's awesome. Look at all the space for activities in here. It is incredible. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this update. Please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for some more great stuff. And have yourselves a fantastic day. Bye for now.